Evening everybody, and welcome to week 35 of the Guitar Quest lessons. So I can't believe it, but we are at the end of Guitar Quest 2. So congratulations if you've been following this far. I hope you've enjoyed everything so far, and hopefully you feel like you've made a lot of progress. The plan today really is we're going to play a warm-up, go back over exercises 29 and 30 from last week, and then we're just going to pick a few tunes at random just to cover the various sort of main aspects of the new stuff that we covered in the book, and that will really just sort of conclude the Guitar Quest 2 lessons. So hopefully that all sounds good. Hopefully you'll get a lot out of it. If you've got any exercises in particular you'd like to go over today, then please do just pop them in the chat and we can have a look at them. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. So a couple of things then, as usual, just in terms of what we want to do initially. So if you happen to be on a device that has lots of notifications pinging, then please turn those off so we get our undivided half an hour of guitar time. If there's any children watching, then I recommend having an adult in the room just to help sort of guide you through any bits and pieces that might need a bit of extra guidance, I suppose. And that's pretty much it. As I said, if you've got any questions, whatever, or you want to go over any exercise in particular, please pop them into the chat function, and I'll sort of comment on them as we go through. So let's start by checking tuning. That's going to be our first thing. So here is our bottom E string. Okay, and then the A. And D. G, and B, and then finally our top E string. Okay, so that's tuning covered. Obviously you hope to just adjust that if you need to. Because this is a sort of a recap of everything we've done so far, it's probably worth talking briefly about posture. Obviously we've talked about this a few times before. If you're going for the classical posture, you raise your left foot up a bit and have the guitar, if I move back a bit so you can see me a bit better. Have your guitar kind of like that, and so left foot's raised up, the curve of the guitar is over the left leg. This is if you're a right-hand guitar player. Obviously left-handed would be the other way around, and then this part rests onto your right leg. So that's the classical posture. Typically when I'm playing in these sessions, I tend to just put it over my right leg. There's benefits to each. So what I would do is raise my right foot up a little bit, not too much, probably not as much as if you're in the classical posture. Again, if you find you're sitting and you're playing and you're on your tiptoes and that kind of thing on your right leg stop the guitar from slipping away, then just raising that right foot a little bit is a good idea. So that's what footstools are for. So that's something worth considering. And as I mentioned before, what we want to try and avoid doing is having the guitar neck pointing downwards, because then I'll go off the edge of the screen obviously, but apart from that, you've got to work harder to get your hands into the various shapes that we need. And then the other thing as well, and this is probably the big one, like when you're sort of still relatively early days in your guitar playing, we want to try and keep the guitar upright, as in like this, and not allow it to slide that way. Again, as the more it slides, the more you've got to bring your hand round. So if we're going for the low notes, you've got to work a bit harder. However, that is quite challenging when you are new to it, because you when you've got the guitar very upright, you can't really see what you're doing very well. So so the guitar does tend to do that kind of thing a little bit. So if it, find that balance really, but know that ultimately what you're looking for is for this guitar to be kind of more upright rather than too much like that. Okay, so that's just covered a couple of little bits and pieces there. So let's have a go at number 28, which is called Home. We played this a couple of weeks ago, and this we're just going to use as a bit of a warm-up today. So I've talked about sort of various ideas that are involved with this one. So what we're going to do is just give it a go, get stuck into it. So structure-wise, we've just got to remember we play each line twice because of the various repeat marks before we finish up. So let's give it a go. So we're going to start. I'll count us in. I may count in various places and say note names and things. We'll sort of see what happens really. So, but yeah, good luck with it. And here we go. So starting on the D. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. Back to the beginning of that line. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. Second line. 2, 2. Back to the beginning of the second line. Third line. 2, 3. 'Repeat that line. 2, 3. And that's where we finish up. So hopefully you could all play along, and hopefully it was all okay really. So give yourself a pat on the back if it went well, and we are going to move on. So obviously that one we've played a couple of weeks, so hopefully it's relatively sort of within the comfort zone now. 29 on the other hand is one that we started last week, so obviously that means you've not had as much time with it. So the new idea in here is this note at the 5th fret, which is our note A, and we want to try and use the pinky finger to play that one. So we're just going to be moving our hand up and down a little bit. So we come up to get the A, and then when we go to play the other notes, we just move our hand back again to our normal playing position. So that little movement there may require some glancing down at the left hand, whatever works really. Ideally, we want to be looking at the music as much as possible, or at least not looking at our hands too much. However, we also want to play the right notes. So we just have to find that sort of sweet spot of what works for us and what works for you at the point you're at the moment as well. So there's a few dynamics in there to think about if you want to include them. But yeah, let's just give it a go. So 3, 4 times. So after 3, okay, here we go. So 1, 2, 3. and that is exercise 29, the Gardener. I forgot to mention as well in the last couple of bars we were just going to slow down a little bit. That's what the word rall is telling us, rallentando. So yeah, we gradually just ease up on the speed there, and as I think I mentioned last week, it's more akin to applying the brakes in a car, so you slow yourself down as opposed to going one speed and all of a sudden doing another speed. So it's not like a step kind of thing, it's like a ramp if you prefer. So okay, so again, hopefully that went really well. Obviously, if you've got any questions, do fire away. And if you think of any other exercises you want to have a go at, do mention those as well. But for now, we are going to go on to the final exercise of the book, which is number 30, Over and Out. Again, we played this the other week, so hopefully you've got a vague idea at least of what we're about to play. The key thing on this one, I would say, is watching out for that quaver rest. So if I just quickly bring the music up onto the screen. So this little symbol here, that's our quaver rest, that's a half beat rest. So we play, that's on 1, then the and, 2 and 3 and 4 and, so we're sort of zigzagging between the two lines if you like. So let's turn that off. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. The other thing to watch out for is on line 4, where we have that slide. So if I just demonstrate quickly, we're going to play the 2 Ds, then we play an F natural, so the 1st fret, and then we're going to slide up to the 2nd fret without re-picking the string. So that kind of idea. And when you do things like that slide, the longer you hold it before you slide, the less likely you are to hear that note afterwards, particularly on acoustic type of guitars. Depends what sort of sustain the guitar naturally has, but if we think about it sort of logically, you know, when we pluck the string, we put all that energy into the string to make the sound, so if we leave it and let that sound decay, then getting to the next note, you can hopefully hear it, but it's going to be quiet. If I do it quicker, the energy's still in the string and therefore the note sounds a bit clearer. So if you found, if you're practicing it during the week, that note was not really happening, it might be you were leaving it too long before you did the slide, or the other likely cause could be that you release the pressure a little bit through this finger as you move and slide it over, particularly over the fret wire. But you've got to try and keep that pressure down, otherwise the sound will disappear. So if I demonstrate, you might end up with something like that, and that's me releasing the pressure a little bit. So we keep the pressure down, and we should get that sound. A slightly more tricky technique compared to stuff we've done in the books, but a good one to at least have a go at. Other than that, watch out for, there's quite a few sharps and naturals and things. Remember, after we've played or when we see a note that's a sharp, it stays sharp until the end of the bar unless we see the natural sign. So we want to try and observe those. So yeah, let's give it a go. Just quickly then, in terms of structure of the song, we play line 1, line 2 as normal. Line 3 we play twice because of the repeat marks. Line 4 we play twice because of the repeat marks. Then we've got lines 5 and 6. Then we've got a DC Fino instruction, so we go back to the beginning and we play the first 2 lines again. So hopefully that makes sense. And the other thing I should mention as well, just on the first couple of lines, where the stems point downwards, we're going to use our thumb. So on the 5th string A, we're using our thumb to play that one. And when we play the high A, so at the 5th fret, we've got the stem pointing upwards. Or in the 2nd bar, we've got a G. So we're going to use our fingers. So it's a sort of alternating thing between thumb and then index, thumb, and then middle. And again, we're going to try and alternate these fingers. Whether you start on the index or the middle doesn't really matter that much. It's more the principle of alternating between them. So I think we should give it a go. We'll take it nice sort of slow speed. If I'm playing it too fast, you want me to play it slower, do just say so afterwards, please. Okay, here we go. So after 4, okay, so 3, 4. that is the tune, and that finishes the book off. So if you have any questions on that, obviously do fire away. I did set off a little faster than I'd intended actually, so again, if you want me to play it slower, that's fine. Otherwise, what you can obviously do is watch the video back again a bit later, because it'll get uploaded to YouTube, to my channel, and then you can change the playback speed to 3/4, for example, and then play along at a slightly slower speed. There's also, on my YouTube channel, we've got the playlist backing track, so with me playing this with extra guitar parts and that kind of thing. So you can always put that on and slow that one down as well, just until you kind of get used to it, and then obviously come back up to full speed. Yeah, so that's great. Well done if you've managed to get through to the end of this point, and as I mentioned earlier, hopefully you found you made a lot of progress along the way. Just so you know, on page 25 of the Guitar Quest 2 book, we've got that section there, in the blue. Just some questions about like what was your favourite exercise? What did you find easiest? What did you find most challenging? Areas to work on, that kind of thing, and that can be quite helpful just as a bit of feedback for yourself. And you may also look at the book again in a year's time, for example, and you might see those comments or notes that you've put down and think, oh, do you know what, all that stuff I never found that hard a year ago, but actually now I find that really easy, and it just sort of reminds you of how far you've come, and I think that can be a really worthwhile sort of thing to explore as well, because it's very easy, particularly when we're learning, to feel like everything always feels tricky, and I'm working on something, it's hard or whatever, but acknowledging how far you've come in whatever period of time you've been playing is also important, to recognise that you are making that progress. So yeah, so that's worth filling in. Okay, so as mentioned, I thought we'd just go back over a few exercises from the book, just covering the various different aspects and technical challenges that the book has presented. So there haven't been any suggestions, but obviously do fire away if you want to. So my first one, we're going to go right back to the beginning and just play exercise 1. And the reason for this is because we introduced 3 new bass notes. So we have our bottom E string, A and D. What we'll probably do, because we're just recapping things, is particularly on this one, we won't bother with the repeat. We'll just play lines 1, 2 and 3, pretend the repeat isn't there, and go through it that way. Yeah, so it's just really, it's just the first thing we came on to, because in Guitar Quest 1 we were learning the notes sort of on the first 3 strings, and then obviously book 2 has been more about learning the lower strings. So you'll turn to page 1 then. Let's give it a go. So we're going to start on that open 5th string, nice and straightforward. We'll go at a reasonable speed because hopefully this is something you'll find reasonably easy at this point. So yeah, here we go. After 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and hold it, and then onto the second line. Last line, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then finish on the A because we're ignoring the repeat. And that would be a blues tune for any of you that's ever played blues music. That's your standard kind of structure, and we'll talk about chords and things that we could play at some point in the future, I'm sure. Okay. So that was the first kind of idea, so we learned those few notes there. We're now going to move on to exercise 5, which is on page 6. So this one, is sort of focusing a little bit more on these additional notes on the fourth string. So obviously we know D is the open fourth, then we have E at the second fret, F at the third fret. And we're also including the notes G and A by the looks of it on the third string there. So again, we're just going to give it a go. See, just do your best to try and play along and keep up. Obviously, as mentioned, sort of hopefully these earlier ones are reasonably okay, but I appreciate you're not going to be going back and practicing the really early exercises. You'll be focusing on whatever stage you're at, you know. So, for example, the last couple of exercises, which have obviously presented the biggest challenge. So just do the best you can, really. So here we go, starting with number 5 then. No repeats or anything, so after 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that would be where we finish. So, well done again if that went well, and we're going to move on again. So, obviously that was looking at these newer notes on the fourth string. So the next one, we're going to have a go at number 11. That's on page 9, and this is looking at the newer notes on the fifth string. So on the fifth string, obviously we have A, we've covered that one already. We have B at the second fret, and then C at the third fret. And exercise 11 is kind of predominantly working on those few notes there, but also, you know, there's a couple of other ones, got the ones from the fourth string as well. So, right, let's give it a go. We'll take this one, it's a little bit busier, there's more quavers and things in here, so we'll go a little bit slower. So, after 4, here we go. So, 3, 4. To the second line. 2, 'D sharp fine, so back to the beginning. And that's where we finish up. So again, just recapping those notes on the fifth string. Hopefully that made sense. As mentioned, do fire away if you have any comments about any of that. So as you might expect, the next one we're going to have a look at is one that covers the notes that we learned on the sixth string. So we're going to go to exercise 20, the Matador. This is on page 15. So obviously we've got our bottom E string, we've got F at the first fret, and then G at the third fret. So they're the notes we're going to have a go at. We will do the repeat on this one because it's a slightly shorter tune. So we play line 1 twice and then line 2 twice. So good luck everybody. 3 beats in the bar. So after 3, here we go. So 1, 2, 3. that line. 2, 3. Okay, so that's covered sort of all the newer notes that we were talking about in the book. Then probably the other important idea would be exercise 25, where we talked about sharps. So just effectively giving ourselves a whole new set of notes without necessarily having to think too much harder, hopefully. So exercise 25, green T, is on page 19. So this is just the idea that if we're playing an F at the first fret, then F sharp, it's going to be 1 fret higher at the second fret. So remember, the sharp is always just 1 fret up from the natural note. And up is going this way, so I slide my hand up the fretboard. Often people kind of confuse it and think it should be the other way. But when we talk about going up in music, talking about pitch, so notes getting higher, hence that's going up, and going down is the other way, where we're going from a higher note to a lower note. As I say, that can be a bit confusing at times, so yeah, something to be aware of. Let's give 25 a go then. Watch out for the natural sign as well. We will do the repeat, so also watch out for the first and the second time bars. But yeah, here we go. So after 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and start on the E, F sharp, 2, F sharp, F natural, E, back to beginning, F natural, F sharp, 2, second time bar, F sharp, F natural, E, 2, E, rest. Okay, so we're pretty much out of time. There was one other exercise I'd just like to go through briefly. So this is another kind of key aspect that we've covered in Guitar Quest 2. And that's our first few chords and kind of putting them together to sort of make more of a sort of a backing kind of chord accompaniment thing. So in Guitar Quest 1 we talked about a couple of chords, and but they were more about like an introduction to the shape, whereas exercise 22 on page 17, this is Spanish dual accompaniment. This is about playing chords in such a way that they accompany another tune. So it's a good one to sort of try and get to grips with. Chord playing can seem quite daunting initially, because obviously you've got to move quite a lot of fingers around at any one time to get to the next chord in the right place at the right time. So you just got to do your best with them. So we're going to be playing A minor, D minor, and then E major. So all the chords are in the book. We're pretty much out of time, so we're just going to have a go at it anyway. If you find you can't remember the chord shapes or anything like that, like I mentioned before, just watch the video back. Take the time. The chords are all in the book, or the combination of this book and Guitar Quest 1. Yeah, just sort of revisit those shapes a little bit until you feel a bit more comfortable with them, and then try playing along with this. And in exercise 22, we're going to follow the strumming patterns as written there. It is repeated at the end. We're not going to do that for now. We're just going to play all the way through lines 1 and 2. I'm just going to give it a go. So here we go, starting on an A minor. So after 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So we go down, 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 up, rest, change to D minor, down, up, rest, A minor, down, up, rest, then E, down, up, rest, A minor, D minor, E, and then we finish on A minor, 2, 3, rest. Okay, So that pretty much covers everything from Guitar Quest 2, and obviously there's a lot of other exercises in there, sort of giving more detail and things on those particular challenges. But we sort of recap the key elements, of what we've covered in the book. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. Hopefully you feel like you've got quite a lot out of it. So the question then becomes, where do we go from here? So my plan at the moment, because obviously where we're at the moment, 28th of November is when I'm recording this. So there's a couple of weeks before Christmas. So what I'm thinking is move on to Guitar Quest 3 in the new year. And that's obviously just going to build on everything that we've been covering here, and just obviously going into a little bit more detail. Things get a little bit more tricky again. So for the next 3 weeks, what I'm thinking is we'll have a go at some Christmas tunes. So this will be a little bit of a break from obviously the Guitar Quest books themselves, where we've been focusing on notes in particular, and probably next time we'll focus a little bit more on chords. So that may prove to be tricky. It depends where you're at on your journey. I'll take you through the chords anyway, and any little sort of lead or solo bits that we can include as well. I'll talk about those. And so hopefully it just gives us something slightly different. If you find that, next week, for example, if you find it too much, then try not to be disheartened by it, and just think, okay, Guitar Quest 3 is coming in the new year, so you can focus on that, or just sit in and watch and just try and get a feel for how chord changes are working and a few different chords. So it'll just be a kind of an extra thing really over the next few weeks. So yeah, as I say, we'll be doing Christmas tunes for the next 3 weeks, then we'll stop for Christmas, and then we'll probably pick things up again on the 16th of January. So it'll be a little while, we'll have a little break, gives everybody a bit of a chance to catch up on everything as well. So I think we'll leave it there. So thank you to everybody that's followed the course, and I hope you've really got something out of it. Feel free to drop me an email if you've got any feedback or anything like that. If you enjoyed the lesson, please give it a thumbs up. That's always good, always helpful. I have my, as you see on the screen, the donations link as well. So if you've enjoyed the lessons and you feel like you'd like to make a donation just to sort of help fund them a little more, please just follow those links there and make a donation. I'd obviously be very grateful if you could. But yeah, so the plan will be, I'll see you next week, usual time, 6:15. So next Thursday is 5th of December, and we will have a go at a Christmas tune. I will email some stuff around in advance, so make sure you're on the list. If you haven't got a copy of the books or any of the music, or you're not on the main list, the link should be under the video. So please do click on it, sign up, get involved, and we will push on. So have a great week, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you, some of you anyway, hopefully, on the Guitar Quest Christmas special next week. So have a brilliant weekend. I will see you soon. All right, take it then. Bye bye.